Recently, I ran into a post of YBN Nahmir announcing a pregnancy with Selena Powell, and I must admit my initial feeling was just a little bit of disgust. I don't like to judge people because who am I? But Selena Powell, let's just say, has a history of being with a lot of different people in the industry. And when you hear like red pill guys like Fresh and Fit screaming into their microphone with veins in their forehead and in their neck, and they're spitting everywhere, and they're talking about the modern woman and how the modern woman just wants to steal your money from you, use you for money, and use you to fly her out to Dubai and Miami, and then she takes you and she forces you to have a baby with her, then she divorces you and takes you to court, and now you're paying $20,000 a month in child support, and you can only see your kid once every 4 Christmases. When they describe modern women as like a boogeyman.
Now, you were in a bathroom stall with Lil Meech giving him head.
You have to give your man head wherever you're at.
Selena Powell actually is that boogeyman in real life, which is a rare thing. So that's why I was kind of like, whoa, this is crazy. But I think that whole post, that whole announcement was kind of a clout move. It was kind of a attention grabbing move. And it really put into perspective for me the things that YBN Nahmir is willing to stoop to in order to get eyes on him, in order to get people talking about him nowadays, to get his name in the blogs, to get his name in the headlines. And it really just clarified to me the distance, and really emphasized to me the distance between where he was just a few years ago and where he is right now. What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I Used to Be Pay, and today I'm back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the phenomenon of rappers being washed before the age of like 25. But before I get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things. It helps me out a ton. YBN Nahmir is an example of many of rappers whose career rose and fell almost in hyperspeed. Like, the modern day rap space is a graveyard for a bunch of dudes who had actually really impactful and prominent careers that died almost as suddenly as they began. There are a bunch of rappers who are washed or cooked before their 25th birthday, and that's really kind of crazy. Now, one-hit wonders have always been a thing in music, so it's not rare to see rappers kind of blow up and then, or not even rappers necessarily, just musicians in general, blow up off of one song and then you never really hear from them again, or maybe one album. But that's not really what's happening with these rappers. These rappers aren't just one-hit wonders who got lucky once or twice and then you never hear from them again. These guys are having like entire careers worth of work in like 2 to 3 years and then just going away, just being dead and gone. They're having multiple hit songs, multiple albums, multiple mixtapes, all in the span of like 2 to 3 years of high levels of success, and then it just dies immediately. These guys aren't one-hit wonders in like the traditional sense of the word, but in this modern era, this low-key is the new method of like a one-hit wonder. They're like I can't say one career wonders because like duh, everyone has one career, but it's just weird. It's hard to explain. Guys like YBN Nahmir, YBN Almighty J, Smoke Perp, Lil Pump, Ugly God, Blueface, even though he still is pretty popular, it's just not for music at this point.
Who gonna watch the baby? Me?
Lil Xan, Young Bands, Tekashi 6ix9ine, and there are a bunch of other guys that I probably could have listed here, but you understand the type of rapper that I'm talking about. These guys have all gone from internet sensations to falling off to the point in which their career is like completely dead, where like nothing that they do musically gets really any notoriety. And we haven't really seen like a bunch of rappers fall off to this extent ever, in my opinion, at least. Like, it's not your regular falling off, and I mean no disrespect by this. I know some people are going to get mad, but like, look at somebody like Chief Keef, right? He fell off in terms of his popularity from now into like 10 years ago. If you compare himself 10 years ago to now, he's fallen off in terms of popularity, but he's still a successful musician. People are still buying his albums, showing up to his shows. So it's not like his career is dead. It's just not as big and as bright as it once was, which is cool. It happens to everybody. Everything moves in cycles, but these dudes can't do anything musically and get notoriety for it. Like, and they're all extremely young. When they're young and they're these internet sensations, and people are like, oh man, they have so much potential. They may be running the rap game for the next 5 years. And it just goes away completely. Their career is just dead. The only way that their music gets any notoriety now is when people are clowning on it, or like making fun of it, or making jokes about how it's so good when really they're trying to be funny because the song is trash. It's really remarkable to see like somebody, and pretty much all of these guys have had successful careers outside of just one song. It's not like, they got lucky with one hit song or maybe a couple hit songs or maybe even just one project. Most of the artists that I named have multiple hits or multiple really big internet songs, multiple projects that people on the internet loved. They all had some substantial success in their career. It wasn't just like striking lightning in a bottle. Like somebody like Lil Pump. Lil Pump has 2 top 10 Billboard Hot 100 songs. 2. Gucci Gang went like 3rd, right? And he also has 2 or 3 projects that he put together that did pretty well, like commercially, and people actually liked him. So he has a solid career, even like a mixtape back on SoundCloud from like 2016 or something like that. Like he had a substantially successful career. It wasn't like he just kind of got lucky on 1 or 2 tracks. No, people liked some of his projects. They liked a lot of his songs. He had a lot of big songs. But his career at this point in time is like you can't even call him washed because he's beyond washed at this point. He's far gone from that point. He was washed in 2021. In 2024, he's beyond that. This dude is 7 years away. He's 7 years removed from his prime musically, and he's 24 years old. He's 24 years old, and he's been washed for like 3 or 4 years now at this point. Young stars not having a future in the field that they blew up in isn't like unique to rap, or like this isn't the first time it's happened in human history. We see it all the time with like child actors in TVs and movies where they really don't go on to do anything in that field in their adult life. But it's happening at such a high rate in the rap space that it's really starting to get kind of interesting. Like these guys are rising to such high levels of prominence at extremely young ages, and then it's just like gone. Like these dudes are hitting heights that 99.9% of humans will never touch. Most of us will never dream of having the success that these dudes had at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. But by the time that they're 25, 26, 27, it's all gone. Like it's just gone. It's a distant memory. And that's got to be really crazy on their mental. Like that's got to be really weird to go through as a human, just mentally. Like, of course they still have, a lot of the fruits of their labor. I'm sure a lot of stuff that they can fall back on, a lot of money that they may have, and a lot of opportunities that they now have going forward into the rest of their life because of that high that they hit in their early 20s or their late teens. But at the same time, it's got to be so crazy on your mind to go from like, a broke high school kid who probably wasn't going to go to college, maybe didn't have the grades to go to college, maybe you didn't even graduate. Some of them did go to college, and maybe you're just working a regular job, you're working at a corner store. It wasn't like 6ix9ine working at like a deli or something. To go from that to all of a sudden you start making music and you just immediately go up. You're just out of this world immediately. Millions of streams, people wanting to buy your albums, people wanting to see you perform live, people begging to do interviews with you, having all this publicity, people under your comments and every single post that you post. Oh my gosh, we love you. I can't wait for the next album. You go live on Instagram Live, 20,000 people join in an hour and a half. Like to go from that to then falling off in a span of like 4 to 5 years has got to be really crazy. Like to go from nobody to, oh my gosh, I'm the king of the world, back to nobody, but now you're nobody who was somebody. So it's not like you're completely nobody in a span of 4 to 5 years. In some of the most formative years of your life, especially your adult life, has got to be really crazy for these guys. It really leaves these guys at such an interesting position in life, at least in my opinion, because like imagine being 23 years old and you're told that you're a has-been, your potential is gone, you have none, your best years are a couple of years behind you, and you'll just never do anything as significant as you did when you were 19 years old. And what's even crazier about being told that, for a lot of those guys, it's the truth. Like, it's just crazy, especially because most of these guys weren't putting in a whole bunch of work musically before they blew up. It's not like most of these guys were, working on music for 5 to 6 years. They were trial and error. They were posting a whole bunch of music. They got a whole bunch of mixtapes floating around the internet somewhere where they were failing, and then they went back to the drawing board. Okay, I got to get better at this. Then they fail again. Then they're like, okay, I got to get better at this. And then, so by the time they blow up, now they're well-rounded. No, these guys just kind of were good as soon as they really started making music. And by good is subjective, of course, but good in the sense of like a lot of people wanted to hear their music. It just kind of happened like that for a lot of these guys, and they just kind of picked it up and ran with it. Like to compare it to something, I guess, something else, it'd be like if you were a junior in high school and you never really watched basketball, or let's say you never really played basketball like that, but you watched it. It was cool. You liked the sport, but you never played like that. And then your junior year, you decide to try out for the team, right, at your local high school. And you make the team, surprisingly. And you're actually pretty good. You actually end up a starter. And you're actually so good that by the end of your junior year, you're one of the best players on the team. You probably are the best player on the team. And then by the end of your senior year, you're a D1 prospect. These guys, these coaches are calling your phone. They're sending emails to your house, all that. They're calling your mom's phone. They're calling your third cousin's phone. They're calling anyone around you because they need you. You're that good at basketball already. And then you go to one of these big, high-level college basketball programs, and not only do you go there, but you dominate there. You're going crazy. You're hooping, all right? You're one of the best players in the country your freshman year, and you're a top 5 draft pick in the NBA draft. You're that good. You're a great NBA prospect. You go in the top 5 of the NBA draft. And not only do you go in the top 5 of the NBA draft, but your rookie year, you hooping too. You're going crazy in the NBA just like you were going crazy in high school and just like you were going crazy in college. You going crazy on everybody. You end up being the rookie of the year, but not just a rookie of the year. You're an all-star. You're hooping that well. And then 2 years later, by year 3 in the NBA, you're fighting for a spot in the G League and you end up getting cut from the G League. You're not even good enough to make the G League anymore. And it's not because you got injured or something crazy happened to you. You're just not good anymore. You're just not that guy anymore. You just can't fit in with the modern day basketball game. You just don't fit in. Okay, your play style is washed. Your play style is old news now. That's the reality that a lot of these guys are living in. This is a product of the internet and trends on the internet. Trends on things like TikTok are very fast and will last a few weeks to a few months, but in music, they tend to last a bit longer just due to the size of the music industry, and you can't really consume musical content as quickly as you can consume TikTok content, yet musical trends burn out quicker because of the internet, just like other social media trends. Musical trends themselves also start to burn very, very hot and very quick because of a platform like SoundCloud, especially a few years ago, that was free to access, and there was so much music being constantly uploaded to the site, and it was just kind of like the main hub for internet music listeners to congregate to. So all of this traction on this site and social media backing SoundCloud back a couple years ago, it made it so certain sounds from that ecosystem caught really big waves. And the people who were able to make these sounds and replicate these sounds were able to ride these waves like a rocket to popularity and success. These artists learned early in their career how to make a very specific style of music, and they never really just kind of learned how to make music. Like, they didn't really go through the trial and error that a lot of the rappers that came up before them had to go through of dropping music and it failing and coming back and doing it again and again and again until it finally pops off. Really kind of like their first few batches of music really blew them up, and they were never able to grow and evolve outside of that style. It's kind of like when you're raising a child, I guess, and they're learning their ABCs, and you teach them the song and they know the song. Oh my gosh, they know their ABCs. See, my kid knows their ABCs. You tell them to sing the ABCs, they sing the song, right? But when you ask the kid what letter comes after J, they have no idea. They don't know what you're talking about because they learned the song. They didn't learn their ABCs. They just know how to sing the song. And that's very similar for how a lot of these rappers ended up blowing up early in their careers. They don't really know necessarily how to be great rappers or great musicians. They just kind of know how to make one specific style. And that style and that trend was really, really hot at one time. And once that trend and that style kind of goes out of style, they're left in the wind. Because of technology and the internet, making good quality music became a lot easier. Just with my phone, I can make sounds that are better than artists from record labels in the 90s. With that being the case and the wealth of information that everyone has all day, making music that sounds good and follows trends is easier, and we're getting guys who blow up earlier and earlier into their career. It's how we end up with artists blowing up with less than 30 songs and no mixtapes like Ice Spice. They end up in that position that Ice Spice is in now, also stuck after their run of hype kind of dies down, looking for a future in music, trying to really learn on the fly after already being successful, trying to retain the early success that they low-key kind of stumbled into early on in their careers. It's almost like having to start over like start their entire music career over and really learn again how to make music, except that these people have already been successful for a multitude of years. Ending up as a washed rapper or a fallen off rapper before you really even get comfortable in adulthood has got to be crazy. Like, I guarantee most of these dudes don't have the finances that you think they probably should have. And I know it's easy to say from the sidelines, like, oh, you guys should have saved your money. You should have knew the music game is up and down and it's a roller coaster. You could have fallen off at any point. But at the same time, how good were any of us at saving money at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21? Realistically, right? Like, I know there's going to be one guy who's like, actually, I saved up $30,000 before I turned 18, like whatever. But like for most people, we're not that good at saving our money as regular folk, as people who don't really have that much. Now imagine you're 18, 19 years old and money isn't an issue. You can pretty much purchase anything. It's very easy to see how these guys could end up not as financially well off as they had the potential to be. But even if they did save their money, I guarantee you most of these guys did not make enough money to never have to work again in their lives. So now it raises the question of, what do you do? What do you do once you fall off? Do you continue to keep making music like a YBN Nahmir, where he just keeps trying and trying different things, even though 95 to 97% of his original fan base has abandoned him, and every time he drops something, he gets clowned, and it just doesn't seem like it's ever going to work out again? Or do you try something new? Do you maybe like take your saved money and try to like invest in real estate, or maybe you sell pump and dump cryptos or something? Like, what do you do, right? Or maybe you turn into like Lil Pump and become like a grifter for a political cause. Like he's, all of a sudden meat riot and Donald Trump. And also he has like his own OnlyFans. Like, what do you do in that situation? It's a very interesting thing that we're going to continue to see going into the future, because there's a big group of guys who fit the description of super, super young, had a really fast and successful career that ended very shortly after. And this is going to be kind of like a plague of people who suffer from this. There's going to be a plague of guys who suffer from this. And so 10 years from now, 15 years from now, it's going to be very interesting to see what happened to these guys who fell off at 22. And it's going to be a lot of them. So I think it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to be worth studying, I might even say, in the future. But if you made it this far, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in the video, make sure you leave it down below in the comments. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It helps me out a ton. I go by the name of Pay. Peace.